There's a reason for this. It's because Ryan and Eve are founding their marriage on the very meaning of life outlined at the dawn of time. And so how appropriate that we consider such lofty implications on their day of holy matrimony. To help you better understand the complexities of the passage just heard, I've broken it up to 3 parts, which you'll see on the overhead. Number 1 is God creates. That is, God creates man and woman in his own image. Number 2 is God commissions. God commissions this united couple for his saving purposes. And number 3, God celebrates. He celebrates the glory of his design. So God creates, commissions, and celebrates. First, God creates. And not just man. Prior to our account, he has been fashioning the earth, dividing atmospheres, emerging continents from the seas, adorning them with all manner of forests and flowers and the luscious of produce. And as if his greatness wasn't displayed enough, he then scatters constellations across the cosmos and brings forth an animal kingdom of unthinkable ingenuity and diversity. This chapter really is a display of the Lord's unfathomable power. If you had a Bible, you would notice with even just a casual glance the frequency of the word God. It appears over 30 times, more than once per verse, and is always followed by authoritative action. God created, God separated, God called, God made, God blessed. But of those verbs, none is more prominent than God said. Remember, God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. The point is, what Yahweh declares will come to pass. His word alone has all authority. The very ground we stand on, the air we breathe, is proclaiming his absolute truthfulness. And it is to be our assurance that every promise made, God will keep. If he said it, there can be no doubt it will happen. And in verse 26, God said, "Let us make man." And in verse 27, God created man. But as if that's not stunning enough, something completely unanticipated in the narrative occurs. God imparts to man an attribute nothing beforehand receives. Not the stars, nor the fish, nor the plants. Did you catch it? Let us make man in our own image, after our likeness. Now, this really should unsettle us. This magnificent, omnipotent, holy maker of galaxies has chosen to be reflected in one place in his creation more than any else. It's not in supernovas or photosynthesis or the 326 million trillion gallons of water in the oceans. That's 18 zeros if you're interested. No, his likeness is not seen most in a bat sonar or a bolt of lightning, but in you and in me. Humans alone bear his image. We have the unfathomable privilege of being like God. And the most prominent way we imitate him is through relationship. After fashioning man and woman, verse 26 records, and God said to them. See, the Lord is not speaking them into existence there. He's addressing them in relationship. He's having a conversation, one that is inviting their volitional response. And that's what actually separates us from the animal kingdom more than anything else. It's our capacity for language. We aren't instinctual, but have the ability to form ideas. We can know things, and that's so we might know God and choose to worship and obey him. I can't develop this, but we also see this relational dimension in the allusion to the Trinity, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, hinted at in the opening verse. Then God said, "Let us," plural, us, "make man in our image, after our likeness." Now, the doctrine of the Trinity isn't fully developed until the New Testament, but here we see that Yahweh exists in a plurality. The Father himself has a relationship with the Son and the Spirit, and they have for all eternity existed in perfect harmony and adoration and respect and joy in three persons, though remaining one God. And that unity in diversity is conveyed in the making of humanity as both male and female. Listen to it again, verse 27. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God he created them, male and female he created them. Amazing. In all the glorious intricacies and synergies of this planet and its creatures, God's climactic display of his greatness is in manifesting his image as male and female. And do you see the superior splendor that results? All the assorted ways men and women express love and strength and beauty. And that varies within each person. That captures, though, more of what God is like than what only one could. Man by himself cannot adequately replicate the divine. And I don't know how to put this more simply. Yahweh doesn't use the boys' restroom. He is spirit, and yet his attributes are only accurately replicated in the magnificent differences of the sexes, which he designed to perfectly complement one another, as we'll see in their alliance together. Under point 2, God's commission. First was God's creation, and now God's commission. Verse 28 recorded that. God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over it. Reference to marriage in this verse, known as the cultural mandate, is more by implication, the details of which are elaborated on in Genesis 2. Their fruitfulness and multiplication are references to the one flesh intimacy that produces children. It is out of the covenant love of a husband and wife that image bearers will populate the earth. And if you didn't discern, this is another absolutely startling way in which we share the reflection of the divine. His sovereign rule over the earth has been transmitted in part to us. We are his stewards of this planet, called to govern it according to his ways and under his dominion, but exercising it on his behalf nonetheless. Have you ever considered that? We're landlords, in a sense. We've not been placed here to fulfill some American dream of material conquest for ourselves. No, we are God's emissaries, called to use all the resources of creation to honor and exalt and uphold his word. And to do that, we need one another. Man and woman are commissioned in this task. See, marriage has a purpose bigger than itself. In fact, for those who think it is only about each other, more often than not, they're going to walk away from the whole thing. And that's because marriage is defined by the sacred partnership pictured here in Genesis. It entails deriving one's worth and joy and very purpose from God, and then being joined with one another so that together, in a way proportionally greater than alone, they can, as a team, further the glory of the Lord from the rising to the setting of the sun. Oh, it is such a magnificent picture of interdependence. God puts man in the garden, commending him to cultivate it, and yet it is Yahweh here who promises to provide their sustenance. The same is true of husband and wife, relying on and serving and blessing and providing for the needs of one another in the pursuit of the glory of the Lord.